What's up, guys? Enrique here, and today I wanted to talk to you about the Mono Station, kind of what it does, its general overview, and how to utilize its uniqueness. It's a very unique board. The things you can do with it are really weird, really cool. You really don't find this kind of stuff on another synth, to be completely honest. A ton of I/O on the back, which is really cool, especially if you have like a Mother 32 or an O Coast or just a full modular rig. You got the CV on the back of here, which comes in handy. Being able to sequence the two oscillators separately is also really unique. And then sending that out of MIDI and stuff, it's a really cool synth. I mean, at first I didn't think this was going to replace my bass station, but it might. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so here it is, the Mono Station. Very basic run through. Of course, you got your master up top. You got your LFO here, which is really nice. I don't know the exact ratio it goes up to, but it's I want to say well into audio range, because it'll really start messing some stuff up, which is really cool. You got the beautiful faders, which I love. Attack, decay, sustain, and release. Pretty nice feel as well. The mod matrix, which is really cool. I'll get into that in a second. The oscillators. So basically these LEDs correspond to the color of whatever oscillator you're currently changing. So purple, you're now affecting oscillator 1. Green, you're now affecting oscillator 2. The mixer, these knobs affect the volume. So you turn it up, turn it down, so on and so forth. We'll just leave oscillator 1 up for now. Oscillator 1, 2, sub, noise, the audio input, which is right here on the back, as well as the ring. The ring is really cool on this. Like, that's where you can get some really unique kind of wave shapes that then later on get sent through everything. The filter, low pass, band pass, high pass, pre-filter overdrive, your resonance for said filter, your polar slope, 12 dB, 24 dB slope, really sharp, not as sharp. Your frequency, as always, Novation does the big frequency knob because that's the funnest thing to mess around with. This is kind of unique, the bypass. So you can bypass the noise from the filter, and you can also bypass oscillator 2. This comes in handy when you start messing with the paraphonic mode of the Mono Station. So with that, you can kind of like if I were to play this note right now, we don't really hear it, right? Oh, right, because I'm on oscillator 2. The bypass is really cool. It's very unique in that it can the bypass is really cool. This basically allows you to let the noise or oscillator 2 bypass the filter frequency. So for example, if we set it to oscillator 2 and I go into dual mode, actually the bypass is really cool. It allows you to kind of it does let you let the noise or oscillator 2 bypass the filter cutoff, which can be really unique and very handy when you're messing with the paraphonic mode of this synth. The pre-filter or the post-filter distortion, 3 different types. They all sound really good, really warm. For example, number 2 allows you to keep the filter down, but it's so mean that it lets some sound still kind of like come out. It's unique. We'll get into all this a little later. The face of it, your usual scale modes, chromatic at the end, different root notes. Basically choose what note you want, and then these are your different scales here. For example, a C major is all white notes, no black notes. C minor has a couple black notes in there. This controls oscillator 1, oscillator 2, the mod sequence, which is really cool. Basically, you're saying on this step of the sequence, I want to play that value, and then maybe after that, fall down to this value, and then poke up to that value there. So when you press play, it'll kind of jump through that, and it's very sharp. It's like a sample and hold LFO that you can design. But then if you hit shift and mod sequence, there's a smooth button up here, and what that does is it kind of smooths out the levels between these. Again, I'll get more into this a little later. Pattern octaves, of course, transposing octaves up and down. So this is unique. The duplicate and the clear button are on the same button. So if I wanted to clear this, I can just hit it, right? Hold this down and then clear it. But if I wanted to duplicate it, I have to hit Shift, then duplicate. Now I can paste that around. If I let go of Shift, it'll still hold the duplicate for me. So that's pretty handy. So you can say boom, boom, it's green, indicating you want to duplicate. You let it go and press it again, it'll turn red, meaning you want to delete. Save, session, 32 sessions. The save button is always, just hit it twice. And you can kind of change the color of what the session gets saved using the pattern octaves. Shift button, patterns button. This is cool. This is the patterns right now as they stand. They might change, but you're always going to have, no matter what layout they end up, you're always going to have 16 for oscillator 1, and then 8 for oscillator 2, and 8 for the mod sequence, which is really handy. Tying 16 bars together is insane. It's the longest pattern in the world. No, but close. Patches, 2 sets of patches here and here. Of course, the dimmer ones are blank. The brighter ones have songs in them. Sorry, I organized mine so funky. Let's go back to notes. Oscillator 1, note mode. And then you also have velocity for each of the notes, gate for each of the notes, which has the fractional gates. So if we were to put this step, we'll put this note. You can say, I want it to be a little shorter, right? So you hold it and then you tap this and you'll see that the light dims out. And you have 6. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 brings you back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it's really short, versus if we were to duplicate it and make this one full, you'll see that it's a longer held step, even though it's still just one step. So then on to more things. You got the pattern settings. This is really new for the circuit world. So basically you have here like a clock divider and a multiplier. So dead center, it's 16ths. Then you have 30 seconds, 64ths, eighths, and then quarter. And then in between those, you have the quarter, 8, 16, 30 seconds, and then I think 64ths. But this and here, there's like thirds, I think, and then, or maybe it's sixths, 12ths, and 24ths, I'm hoping. I haven't done the math. Not about to do it right now. Just to speed up the process, we'll leave it on 30 seconds. And these are your play modes. So we have forward, backwards, ping pong, and then random. The random gets really fun. So we'll leave this to ping pong. So in ping pong, this bottom section is now your length. We can say end here, right? Maybe end here. But this is cool because then if you hold down the shift button, you can now select the start point. You'll see that that changes to like a amberish yellow. And this is kind of cool because it kind of works like a nudge. I can say I want it to start here and end here. So all the while this is going, oscillator 2 is still running normally. So each of these settings apply to each individual pattern. So if we go to this pattern, for example, pattern 2 of oscillator 1, it's back to 16ths and just forward. But if we were to tie those together, you'll see that it goes ping pong, start there, end there, to just normal forward. 30 seconds, start there, end there, 16th normal. So this is where you start getting really weird patterns and whatnot. So here, let's put in a couple more notes and we can kind of get down to this thing. So we have those notes. We'll put Put it back on 16ths. So I'm going to go into the patch, right? And I'm going to select a blank patch. So now oscillator 1 is up and it's very normal. So by default, the envelope doesn't get sent to the filter, but the amp does. This mod matrix is really, really cool. So basically, we can now shape the envelope, right? We'll say sharp attack, no sustain, a little sustain, little release, and a little bit of decay. So you can kind of hear it fall down. So I can say, with this amp envelope, or with this mod matrix, sorry, I can say I want the envelope, the one that's lit up right now, to be sent to the filter. And it'll show you right here on this LED. If it's blue, that's 0. You can go negative and positive for most of these sources to the destinations. So this same shape that's opening up the amp, I can have it also open up the filter. So check this. So if I lower the filter, turn it up really high, maybe give it a little more release, soften it up. So this is nuts. So we can say, cool, that's going to the filter. Let's lower the rate of this LFO, and then just click the source. How much LFO is going to the filter now? Again, it's down to 0. Let's turn that up. Now you can see that the LFO on its rate is being sent to the filter. We can also send the LFO to the amp, which is the overall volume control for the synth itself. And let's go negative. You can hear that it's kind of pulling the volume down and the filter up at the same time. If you get it back to the middle, you'll see that it goes blue. Maybe send the LFO to the pulse width of oscillator 1. See that these are purple? If they're green, they're now being sent, these depths, or these sources are now being sent to the oscillator 2 section of that. So this mod matrix is really fast. It's really, really cool, and I really hope Novation starts using it a lot more. You of course have the destination of the auxiliary CV, so we can then send any of these things out through the CV. So if we go back to oscillator 1 and focus on the LFO being sent to the filter, we'll turn that back off, set it down to 0, the depth is 0, the pulse width. So now I can see what exactly the LFO is being sent to. Nothing. Envelope, amp, filter, and that's about it. The sequence, that's when it gets really fun. So we have this pattern. We'll turn the filter down. So the mod sequence, again, the pattern settings, it's just going forward at 16ths. I can say on this step I want it to be 120. Here I want it to be 127. I think those are the correct values. Here I want it to just be, I don't know, half at 63. And then here, let's do full again. So of course it's not going to do anything because we haven't sent it anywhere. Sequence gets sent to the filter, positive. And then let's smooth it out. So you can see the difference between the smooth version of the values between the steps and how quick and sharp it is with it off. Dim is off, bright is on. And then where this gets unique, change the pattern settings. Let's do this. Maybe here and end here. Or let's go here and random. the while you can still go along and change the parameters. Let's give it some distortion. Let's do type 2. Let's do type 3. Then type 1. So now I'm going to go ahead and clear this patch again. We'll hit patch and choose another dimly lit one. Back into oscillator 1 into note mode. The pattern settings and all that still stay the same, but the sound is what gets reset when you change the patch. So to clear the entire session, you just go to session and choose a blank session. So here we are in a blank session, and the blank session takes us back to the very first patch, whatever it may be. I'm going to go ahead and choose another dimly lit one that'll be nice and blank. For this one, I'm going to change the oscillator 1 to a square wave, go down a couple octaves. So let's focus on oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 and how they play off each other. It's important to remember that inside the monostation, it's a paraphonic synth. It's not two separate voices. It's a single voice that you can then split. For example, if we hold a note and turn up oscillator 2, you'll hear it come into play. You can even then select oscillator 2, and if you hit the oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 together, you'll see that it says dual mode. That allows you to access the keyboard for oscillator 1 and the keyboard for oscillator 2. So with dual mode, I can play oscillator 1 while I change and affect oscillator 2. So holding down a note here, I can change its wave shape, its range, its fine tuning. So check this. So again, it's important to remember that these share the same voice, meaning they share the same envelope and filter. So if I were to play a note here, it's very big and wide, especially if I were to detune it a little bit. But if I play another note, you'll hear that that note that I'm holding down here is going to kind of not thin out, but you can hear it split. Before I blow your ears out, let me hit oscillator 2 and you'll see that these are green and go down in octaves. So see, if I hit this, you don't hear anything because oscillator 1 isn't opening up the envelope, filter, or amp. But if I hold down a note, then you can hear it. You see how oscillator 2's pitch jumps back to oscillator 1 as soon as I let go of the note. That's how the synth is supposed to work. But where it gets unique is if you hold down shift and then hit scales, it'll turn on paraphonic mode, meaning both oscillator keyboards control and can open up the envelope, filter, and amp. So this is really fun, especially when you start using it in the context of sequencing. So I'm going to hit note and hit oscillator 1, and we're going to put a couple notes in. Completely random. Luckily we got scale mode. Right now we're in a C minor. Let's press play. I can do without this one. So if I hit oscillator 2, see that it kind of pulls from the original voice. So if we were to sequence something in here, it starts getting really crazy. But I'm going to hold down clear and clear those notes out of that step sequence, and I'm going to turn paraphonic mode off. So now we will only hear this when the triggers are happening on oscillator 1. So if I hold these two together and access the dual mode, and I start shortening up the envelope, so that's how you start kind of manipulating the way the sound is. And if we go into patterns, and then let's say I tie 4 of these together and record something right now, right? So let's hit record and I'll hit play. You see it's going back between the two. We can lower the resonance. And this is of course lowering it for both voices. But if we bypass, you can see oscillator 2 rings through. And it's really cool that it's ringing through because it's still being controlled by the same envelope. And then you can even do weird stuff like noise, for example. Bypass that. Maybe record the automation of the noise coming in. So hit record, play. Send the envelope over to the filter. So with this crazy sequence going on, let's clear the automation of the noise, turn off the bypass, turn down both oscillators, and let's listen to the ring. What the ring is doing is basically playing off of both pitches of oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 and kind of combining them into a different type of wave shape. So for example, if I'm playing this, let's turn the sustain up. You can hear that's kind of detuned because I have this detuned, but if I put it perfectly in sync, you hear how much happens when I detune it. Especially when I put it in a lower register. So this right now is literally just the two oscillators playing the same note ringing off one another. But if I go into pattern and I select a blank one for pattern for oscillator 2, but oscillator 1 is still going to be playing this one. And I start playing notes here, since we can't hear it now because paraphonic mode is off, but when the sequence is playing and we start playing notes here, hear how crazy the sound gets. If you were to put some weird. And again, we can mix this in with whatever else is playing. Maybe make this go random. 30 seconds. Or record the automation of it coming in. We'll clear that. So the ring is really fun, especially when you're just trying to make simple one-shot, really mean-sounding basses, and you can play the two off each other. We'll turn up the ring right now. Sorry about that. For example, that's something I would take and resample. Send the LFO to the filter. Maybe take it to audio. Anyway, The rest of the features are really awesome. The distortions we went through, it's a really fun synth and a piece of kit to use. It's one of my favorite boards right now. Being able to sequence things separately, the mod sequence, sending any of these things out of the auxiliary CV into like a modular. But for now, we'll focus just on the mono station. Leave any questions or comments down below in case I missed anything. If you have any questions, I'll easily answer them. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.